Alright guys, welcome back to Strong Successful Mail. So for today, going to go an email I sent from a subscriber. This is my guy, he is in his 40s, he's over in Europe, actually from one of the Nordic countries, and for his entire life, up until recent years, he's always been a guy who's been on his grind. Making something of himself, going for new challenges, working hard, working smart, building wealth, all that type of thing. And in, I guess, recent years, he's gotten off track a bit. And to no surprise to those of you guys that are aware of this, by him getting off his grind and not being as driven as he once was, it's caused a negative impact on his marriage. Turns out around the same time he started going off track, as can happen to any guy, his wife's attraction towards him started to nosedive. She started becoming difficult, pain in the butt, started being less affectionate, if you will, especially in the bedroom, all these things. And this guy's come to realize, holy crap, look what I've done. I got to get back on track. Not necessarily for her, but for himself. And I thought it'd be a very good one to go over here, guys, covering multiple points here. And I might add, although this video is important for all guys, this is a little bit more geared towards the guys that do relationships. Because if you want to do relationships and marriage and family, okay, you're learning the stuff on here and it can help you out. Because there are guys out there, because of culture, religion, all that, they want families and they're learning things. This video really hits home about what happens when a guy goes off track. A man should always be on his grind, on his purpose, self-improvement, all that. The primary reason is for himself, not for girls, not for wives, but for yourself, for have a richer, fuller life. When a guy lacks purpose and a reason to get up every morning and to achieve new things, you're kind of meandering in life. But when you have goals, you feel a lot better. And you need to do it for yourself. But all of us, and it's happened to me, can get off track a little bit. You stop going to the gym as much, you stop being as healthy with the food, you put on some pounds, you lose some strength, you lose some muscle, you're not as driven as you once were, so you're not succeeding as much. It can happen to any of us, but it's important to recognize that and get back on track. But also, how a guy can be doing this his whole life. Ambitious, successful, kicking butt multiple fronts, and his wife or girlfriend loves him for that. Not just how she can benefit from that, but also she's attracted to that masculine quality of always trying to achieve new things, conquering, you get the point. And when he stops, how suddenly, like that, their attraction for you drops. It's ridiculous because guess what? You're allowed to have a little time off, but that's just how they are. And so for you guys that do relationships and all that, understand that can happen when you start getting off track. Yet it's interesting that when they get off track, if we have an issue with that, we're the bad guy here. And this, I might add, is helping the relationship guys, which you're going to see here, which is going to reinforce my views on that, but also is going to reinforce those of you that don't do relationships, saying, I don't need this crap in my life. I don't need to be doing everything right all the time, and because I need to take a break, my girlfriend or wife is going to get bitchy with me. Hell with that. Well, no one can blame you. So anyhow, guys, I'm going to go through this, and he's going to really get into detail his levels of achievements and stuff like that. And it's not bragging. It's just to make the point what he was like prior to slowing down. But our guy here knows it's his fault, and he wants to get back on track, and so good. So he says here, Dear SSM, I found your channel just a month ago, and boy oh boy, I've immersed myself into it. Thank you so much for all the amazing information you provide to the men and women out there. Well, brother, welcome to the community. I'm glad it's been helpful, and I'm glad you're, getting back on track. My name is Oscar, and I have been married for 26 years. All this time without understanding it myself, I've been doing pretty darn well. You can say I'm a bit of a high-value man. I'm 40 plus, I speak several languages, and very early in life, I've always been interested in discovering new knowledge and skills. Good for you, brother. That should never stop. But you said here, throughout your whole life. Early in life, and obviously you continued this. That's good. Since I love punk music, I never followed the crowd, and during the COVID madness, I refused to be muzzled and jabbed like a dog. I also made my wife refuse it too, since her whole family was pushing her to do it. This is one of my biggest accomplishments in my relationship so far. When I was young, I taught myself to play guitar, and I started 2 bands, released several albums, and toured in many countries over the years. Wow. That's sweet, man. Since I was 20 years old, I took the matters of finances seriously and always planned to step out of the rat race at some point. This has led me towards a self-study of the financial system, the world of precious metals, and eventually crypto. Good for you. Everything I've learned in terms of investing and everything related to that, by and large, I learned on my own. I had a foundation from my dad teaching me some things, and this amazing professor I had who actually, it wasn't just a academic guy, he had experience in the real world. Those two set the stage. But everything I learned that's helped me greatly, I've learned on my own. So guys, if you can read, you can learn about something. Make it happen. Contrary to what most people believe, the world of crypto OGs mostly consists of people who just want to be left alone and who don't want the government poking their nose in their goddamn business. Well, the government's always going to poke their nose in your goddamn business. If you truly know how the financial system works, you understand the concept of being a real owner of your assets, physical and digital. It's not all about the Lamborghinis and the bitches, and I want neither, to be honest. Well, most guys think success is having a Lamborghini and a bunch of bitches with you. Yeah, no thanks. The financial and creative anarchist in me has always been the defining factor of my character, and I suspect that is what led my wife to hold her attraction to me over all these years. Ding, ding, ding. Right there. Yes. From a young age, you said you taught yourself to play guitar, you like to learn, you formed a band, which people do, and you were a catch, and women love rock stars, and you were smart and learned to make money and all that. You were ambitious, you were driven. That's attractive to women. Women like successful guys that go for things, because most guys don't, you know? But when they stop doing that, even when our 3 kids came into the picture, this happened 14 years ago, by the way, life didn't change as much as I imagined. Me and my wife still hooked up on a regular basis. I made music, taught myself how to be a better investor, and eventually started working in crypto industry full time. When I made substantial gains in crypto, I started to relax and enjoy life more. Here we go. You hear that? There's nothing wrong with that, guys. There's nothing wrong with if you've been busting your tail all those years, working hard and working smart, and you start making money, and you want to scale back a little bit to enjoy yourself. There's nothing wrong with that. The problem is, some women see a problem with that. You can have millions and millions of dollars, and all of a sudden you just want to kick back for the rest of your life. They get pissed off and bitchy because you're not the same guy anymore. You know, what a load of shit. But that's what they do. This is when things in my relationship began to get interesting. Suddenly my wife started to bitch, moan, and complain more often. What'd I tell you? On the other hand, since I had started to put on weight, I suspect her attraction to me dwindled as well. Hookups became less frequent than before, and my wife threw all her attention at the kids. I'm sure you putting on some weight, and I don't know how much weight we're talking about here. I'm guessing not like tons. I bet you that's only a small part of it. You could have put on a little weight, but if you were still the driven, ambitious guy that you were when you got together, that probably wouldn't have mattered too much. You know, she might start cooking better dinners or something to hint, you know, or whatever. But still, I think that was a small part. It was the drive that stopped. Even before discovering your content, I started to seriously work on myself. Now I'm doing heavy physical exercises 3 times per week and maintaining a firm, healthy diet. Good for you. So in other words, you start to realize where you were going off track and you're getting back on track. Good. My energy levels went up. That's what I wanted in the first place. And I noticed some muscle gain as well. The next step is to join martial arts classes. Since I can't remember the last time I've ever been in a fight, and seeing the state of Europe today, I know that at some point I will need to defend myself. Dude, when I was in martial arts for 6 years, I started at 35, and there were lots of guys in their 40s and 50s, some in their 60s. Obviously, the guys in their 50s and 60s, it's not as easy as a guy in their 20s and 30s, but they did what they could. And my best friend was in his 50s, a former Marine. He was the toughest mother effer I've ever known in my life. So go for it. Absolutely. But be aware, you get into martial arts in your 40s, you're going to have constant little injuries. And you got to find a way to get around them. But just don't do anything to screw yourself up. When I started martial arts, by 36 years old, every 6 months was something new. But I kept going and finding a way to work around the injuries. You'll have a great time martial arts. You'll meet good people and all that. Talk to people, learn from things. Be humble. You walk onto that dojo, you walk onto the mat, and you are a blank slate. You're an empty glass. And don't go in there cocky like you know shit, you know. And you're going to think you're going to be invincible in a year once you start martial arts training. Guess what? You don't know shit. When you get your black belt, and I hope you would one day, whatever that is, then you're really going to realize you don't know shit, even though you've learned tremendously. But good for you. I'm writing to let you know that I immediately recognize so many signs of my wife's behavior in your videos. That's because women are the same all around the world. It doesn't make a difference whether you're in Florida or you're in your country. I take full responsibility for not checking her actions in time and letting her behavior morph into something destructive, male behavior. It's fully on me, and I'm taking every step to correct the situation right now. Well, good, bro. I'm glad you can admit that you made mistakes. Yeah, see? Guys, we all slip up at some point. And yeah, you should have been checking her from the get-go, but you didn't. And notice they said her male behavior. Getting bitchy, having an attitude, acting masculine. When a woman starts to perceive her guy as behaving feminine, and whatever that definition is, or weakness, that's when they start acting more masculine. And they get pissed off because they don't want to be masculine unless they're these feminist bitches. Okay? So it's your job to go back to being the man, the leader, the type of guy that she was drawn to anyway by your drive and ambition and all that. And then she'll start going back into her feminine side as you're going back to your masculine side. But remember, you're doing this for you first. Make that clear. But as a byproduct, you'll get a retraction back. But she shouldn't be treating you like this, and you should be certainly checking her. I've never been a cheater, and there are no signs on my wife's phone that she's been cheating on me. She's a good mother, and I like to have her around my life. But her actions now cannot be tolerated. I'm working on myself and getting my drive and ambition back on track. I admit that the crypto gains have spoiled me and made me passive. That is exactly when my wife's attraction and respect started to fade. Ding, 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 see? After seeing your content, it all makes perfect sense. You start resting on your laurels, and they're going to get pissed off at you, But guess what? You're allowed to have some R&R, for God's sakes. But no, not in their eyes. And here's a question I'm going to say that a lot of guys are thinking, and will nod their heads in agreement. What does she bring to the table that warrants her attitude? Okay, she's a great mom. Cool. Okay, she can fucking cook. Cool. Okay, she was great up until she started getting bitchy because you went off your purpose. You later on mentioned that she's good looking for her age. Great, but still, this attitude after you've been doing everything right for years, but now she's get bitchy with you? Not cool. Sex is pretty much the most important aspect of a relationship for me, since after the physical exercises, I wake up with a towel rack down south. I'd rather have a bullet through the brains than a sexless marriage. Even after 40, the drive is still there, and it's only becoming stronger. I also understand that when my wife doesn't respect me, the attraction won't be there, and she will feel like it's an obligation. Yes, when women don't respect you, they don't love you. And she's obviously lost respect for you because you stopped behaving in the driven, ambitious guy you once were. And I'm sure you letting yourself go physically has something to do with this. But you're getting back on track. And the more you move back to the way you used to be, her attraction is going to go back. It ain't going to happen overnight, but it will. Remember, guys, this is not the relationship channel. I'm not a fucking dating coach. I'm just sharing things I've learned throughout the years to help this guy out. And again, this is going to reinforce why a lot of you guys don't do relationships, because you don't need this shit. And who can blame you? But I want to help our guy. This is why I take care to travel a lot for music and business and just for myself in order to keep a somewhat healthy distance between us now and again. She hates when I leave, but she also knows that she can't stop me. I love traveling and won't give it up for anybody else. Good, don't. The second guys start giving up things that they like doing because they think this going to make their girl happy, that's when it's over. Because she's going to lose respect for them. They'll bitch and complain that you're away, but then again, the distance can make her miss you. And being a man is doing what you want to do. My wife has always been terrible with money, but never asked me to finance her lavish expenses. And after your videos, I completely cut down all the gifts, like expensive phone every 2 years, and dinners out. From now on, all your gifts will be very occasional and proportional to the amount of respect and intimacy in the relationship. Good. You don't reward bad behavior. If you're constantly giving her gifts all the time, expensive ones, you're spoiling her, and she expects it. You want to do it occasion, surprises and stuff like that, and when it is deserved. Doesn't sound like it's been deserved. And back to my question about what she brings to the table. Now you're saying she's bad with money or terrible with money. That ain't a good thing either. Brother, your wife needs to know that she pushes you too far, and it sounds like you could walk away at any time. It sounds like you could, and replace her. Because you're in your 40s. Yeah, you've gotten off track, but you're getting back on there in a year. 6 months, you'll probably be back where you were, physically and all those other things. She needs to know you can replace her like that. Only then will you truly have that respect. Every attempt of me helping out with her finances has resulted in a "you just want to control my money" bullshit. So now words go out the window and it's time for action. Well, again, that doesn't sound very good to me. I have a small stash of precious metals, crypto, and collectible items that have also appreciated in value. My strategy is to keep all my assets out of the system and on paper. On paper, I'm just a poor guy who loves to play guitar and go to music fests. This is the best camouflage I had in life, and it keeps jealous people away. I never flaunt my wealth to anybody. Good, never do that, guys. Only insecure assholes flaunt their wealth to have other people try to get people's respect and admiration. Fuck them. I know more than a few people that have serious money, and you'd never know it. I live a very frugal life and value the mental stability of being okay if any major fuck-ups or problems arrive into my life. Emergency fund is a great idea, and I built it even before discovering your videos. Yes, always have an emergency fund, guys. What that fund is, that depends on your situation, but always have it, because in life, gentlemen, shit happens. And it's going to be a lot easier when you have money set aside that's accessible. Our bills are split 50-50, although I earn twice of what my wife earns. Still, my decision to cut down on spending on her is final. I didn't tell her shit, but she's experiencing this sudden financial not giving a fuck attitude now. Let's see where it goes. Now she looks at me like a pug dog when I say, take your wallet with you and split the bill later on. When it comes to withholding intimacy as a weapon, I made it clear that she can't control me. She knows that I won't cheat, but I don't allow her to play mind games either. When I refused her advances a couple of times, she started to worry, and the Niagara Falls came out. I'm working on making myself more mysterious and having her guessing as to what my actions mean. Well, when women aren't sure about guys, they tend to be more attracted to them. It's a fucking reality. And the fact that you've turned her down from advances after her been turning you down for a while, and her seeing you suddenly working out again and getting your shit together, that's going to make her think, uh-oh, I may have crossed the line here. Uh-oh, he could walk away, because she knows you're a catch. You just haven't been acting like what she thought you were as a catch for so long. Women hate uncertainty, but they're driven towards it. And use that to your advantage, gentlemen. It says here, I stopped yapping too much about and talking about my work. It's none of her business, and since she dared to use one of my personal flaws against me during an argument 2 years ago, I don't tell her any sensitive info about myself either. She knows what she did, never apologized, women accountability, but never did something like that ever again. So you started opening up about things you were worried about, stressing about. Gentlemen, never make your wife or girlfriend your shrink, your therapist. They don't want to be. They want you to be strong and have it together all the fucking time. It's bullshit because we can't have it together all the fucking time. But you better put on the show like it is. Otherwise, again, they start getting bitchy. And you start... The whole crap about women want men to be emotional and cry and share their fears and insecurities. That's bullshit. Never do that. And I've known some that have said that. And then their guy does it and they're turned off. Which shows they don't understand really their emotions and what they respond to. It's fucking crazy. Don't do it. As I'm going through my R-pill transformation, I decided to relocate my assets from our house. The house is in her name, and I don't want to have official assets in my country due to high taxes, so I chose to be out of the system at times. Even if I end up staying with her, knowing that my assets are safe is a good idea anyway. If you house in her name, I'm not sure I'm liking that, my friend. Smack! About time you got a smack. You ever think about putting this in a trust or something like that? But be careful, because you may not always be with her, given how she's acting here. We are not married, and I plan to give my precious metals and crypto to my kids later on if they grow up to be respectful to their parents. So far, they are. I want to share my story to illustrate to everyone here that everything bad that happens to us is usually our own fault. Well, a lot of times, shit happens in life, guys. That isn't your fault. But how we choose to respond to said situations, that is on us, okay? And by the way, you just said you're not married to her. So she's your, what they call partner, your girlfriend. She's the mother of your kids. She's essentially your wife, but you're not, I guess, legally married according to the government. But still, and she knows that. So it's easier for you to depart. But remember, man, if you're pushed too far, she has to know that you're out of there, regardless of the house situation. It was me who kept quiet about my wife's shitty and disrespectful behavior over the years, allowing it to happen. You should never have done that, man. And I don't know how long you're talking about here, but not good. It was me who have shared way too much of my personal and financial info with her because I saw her as my partner. He says, I know how much you hate that word. It gave her ammunition to use against me during hissy fits and made me less mysterious as a man. It was me who let myself lose the drive and motivation to achieve more. It was me who allowed a dry bedroom and occasionally monthly hookups. Dude, you sound like the Emperor from Return of the Jedi. It was I. Yeah, dude, good for you for taking accountability for your screw-ups. Okay, you screwed up, but it happens to all of us at some point. But now you get back on track. This is a man with accountability, a man that recognizes where he's fucked up and he's turning shit around. Good. Your videos have helped me see the flaws, and rather than being pissed off at my wife, I'm already actively working on myself. Because in life, the only thing you can truly change is yourself and your outlook on life. I took a shovel and slowly started shoveling out all the BS that has accumulated in our house and relationship over the years. Well, good. But you know what? You can be a little pissed off at her because she's been acting like an asshole. Some people say, well, that's just female nature and you should accept it. Bullshit. The road will be long and brutal, but I actually do love my wife and kids. Pushing 40, she's still a babe, a good mother, generally caring person, absolute fox in the sack. I just need to work on myself and bring back all these positive traits that attracted me to her in the first place. Well, you mean all the positive traits about you that attracted her to you in the first place, you know? Yeah, it's great. She's a great mom and all these things. He says she's good looking for her age. She's almost 40 and all that. Cool. It doesn't give her a right to act like that. Now, I don't know how long you've been off track here, you know, but whether it's a couple years or like 10 years, but still, okay. I'm glad you're recognizing this. But again, you do it first for you, not for your wife. And after fixing yourself on all these things and get back on track, I guarantee you, it ain't just going to be about you losing weight and getting physically better. And it's going to be also your attitude. And it's going to take the longer you've been off track and acting like putting up with her crap and letting her treat you like, be disrespectful and all that, the longer it's going to take her to get back the respect. But it will. But you got to command it. And she has to know that you can walk away like that, push too far. She doesn't know that yet. She's starting to suspect that, but she ain't there yet. And you may actually find yourself at some point saying, you know what? Maybe I don't want to be with her. And nothing wrong with that. Many people have sacrificed so much and despite all odds, overcame all adversity, and ended up being winners. All the stories have helped me see how fortunate I have been in life. I'm extremely grateful to all the SSM community and wish everybody here the absolute best. That is great. That's great, man. He says, keep strong, guys. Focus on yourself first and work on squeezing out the biggest, nastiest, smelliest crap on the dinner table of the universe. Make it big and pungently smelly and visible from a mile away. Well, that's disgusting. You are the key to your success and happiness in the world. In long relationships, we just tend to forget it. Cold Nordic greetings, Oscar. Well, Oscar, good email. I'm glad you're taking accountability. This is a guy taking accountability. Women would never do this. And now that you're doing it, now that it's on the video out for the world, now you have to do it. So take it one day at a time. It's not as easy to get back in physical shape in your 40s as it was in your 20s or 30s, but you'll get there. Eat healthy, eat clean, take it one day at a time, you'll get back physically. And as you improve physically, you're going to feel better about yourself and you'll go back on other things. So with regards to the grind and purpose, find new things to learn about, new achievements, all that. That's who you are. That's who you were your whole life before obviously you started having kids and got trapped in marriage and the things that happen to a lot of men. But that guy is in you. That's who you are. So go back to that for you first. And I guarantee you that will start to... She'll notice that, along with your new taking your manhood back, if you will, and not putting up with her crap. But you may realize one day, you're like, you know what? I'm doing this for me. I'm so turned off by the way she was acting towards me. Maybe I don't want to be with her anymore. And there's nothing wrong with that. You got 3 kids. You're not married. So you call her your wife, but in the eyes of the government, you're not married. But depending on where you live, they'll still see you as everything, half the shit is hers. So just look at the big picture. But if you want to be with her and you see there's more good than bad, okay, I want that for you. But just be aware you're a man who has options. And the more you have options, the more it'll make her realize, oh shit, I better get my fucking act together and lose the attitude. But this whole thing, guys, shows you, as I made the point earlier, that a man can be on his grind, his purpose, having success, new achievements, all these masculine qualities that a lot of men lack, and it will definitely attract a lot of women. They like that, okay, because it's rare. But a guy can have tremendous success, build wealth and all that, but the second he decides to kick back a little bit, well, there's nothing wrong with that, then she starts to have the nerve to lose attraction. Well, that's what a lot do. And you can decide whether you want to be with that person anymore. I mean, I can't think of who it was, but there was this I think this football player was with his wife, and he decided to retire, and all of a sudden she left him because he was no longer kicking butt in the world anymore. I mean, I forget who it was. I think some of you guys know what I'm talking about here. It's ridiculous. And that is a perfect example there. So, bro, good story, and a lot of guys can learn from this. This isn't going to be a huge video. This is something that is more geared towards relationship guys. But remember that, guys. You stop being who you were originally. Stop being the man you were and all that. There's going to be loss of attraction. I'm just telling you how it is. You don't have to like it, and it's a pain in the ass. And for those of you guys that aren't in relationships, this will just reinforce why you don't do them. Because if you want to kick back and have a year of relaxing and not kicking ass and grinding, there's nothing wrong with that. But if you relationship guys, understand. All right, guys, that's it for today. Be sure to comment down below. Let me know what you think about this. Be sure to like the video, share with your friends, and subscribe. I'll catch you next time.